All right, so we're back for another deep dive. And today we're talking about something that's kind of stressful for a lot of people,
Yeah,
especially with the way the housing market's been going lately.
yeah, definitely a hot topic.
It is, and interest rates are going down and
Mm-hmm.
houses are getting more expensive. One of the things that we saw a few years ago was people skipping home inspections just to
Yeah,
get their offer accepted.
absolutely.
So we thought it'd be a good idea to deep dive into that topic a little bit and give people some tips on how to navigate that tricky situation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're not recommending that you skip a home inspection,
No, no.
but but we know that sometimes it's just not possible.
I mean, I picture myself walking into a house and just feeling completely overwhelmed.
We'll just take a deep breath and start with the big picture. Like we'll literally stand back and look at the house as a whole. What do you notice? Are there any obvious signs of sagging or leaning? Or like, is anything out of whack?
So if the house looks like it's doing the limbo, that's
Yeah.
a bad sign.
Yeah, probably not a good sign. A little bit of settling is normal over time. But if you see significant sagging or leaning, that could indicate some serious foundation problems.
Yeah.
And that's not something you want to mess with.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're looking at the foundation. Are there any other signs of foundation problems that we should be looking for?
Yeah, for sure. You want to get up close and personal with that foundation. Look for any cracks, especially cracks that are wider than a dime, or any cracks that seem to be growing or shifting. That's a big no-no. And also pay attention to the doors and windows. Do they stick? Or are they hard to open and close properly? That could also be a sign of settling or some structural movement.
So it's like the house is trying to tell you something.
Yeah, it's talking to you.
Yeah.
You gotta listen.
Okay, so we're checking the foundation for cracks and we're making sure the doors and windows open and close properly.
Right.
What about the basement? Should we be worried about the
Oh,
basement?
the basement. Yeah, basements are great for extra space. But they can also be a source of major headaches,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to water problems.
Okay, confession time. I love a finished basement,
Who doesn't?
but the thought of hidden water damage down there just freaks me out. What should I be looking for?
Yeah, so look for any signs of past water intrusion, like water stains on the walls or the floors. Maybe like a watermark that shows how high the water got at some point. And another thing to watch out for is efflorescence. Have you ever seen that white chalky substance on concrete walls?
Oh, yeah.
That's efflorescence, and it's a sure sign that water has been hanging out down there.
So those white streaks aren't just some weird basement fashion statement.
No, they're a clue that you might have a drainage problem or a crack in the foundation that's letting water seep in.
Okay, so water stains, bad.
Hmm.
Efflorescence, also bad.
2 thumbs down.
All right, so we've tackled the foundation and the basement. What's next on our red flag checklist?
Let's head up to the attic. Now, this is especially important for older homes because they can sometimes have hazardous materials lurking up there.
Like what kind of hazardous materials?
Well, we're talking about things like vermiculite insulation, which could contain asbestos, or old pipes that might be made of lead. You definitely don't want to be breathing in that stuff.
No, asbestos and lead are not exactly on my housewarming gift list.
Identifying these materials usually requires professional testing, but just being aware of the potential for them to be there is really important. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's so true. So, okay, we've looked at the structure, the basement, the attic. What about the stuff that keeps the house running? The furnace, the water heater, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing to check out. You want to find out the age of those major systems and appliances. Because if they're nearing the end of their lifespan, you could be looking at some hefty replacement costs down the road.
That makes sense. So what should we be looking for specifically?
Well, start by checking the dates on the furnace, the water heater, the electrical panel, and any other major appliances. See when they were installed. And then do a little research on the average lifespan of those types of systems. That'll give you a good idea of whether they're on their last legs or not.
Okay, so we're checking the dates on everything and doing our research. That sounds like a mini inspection in itself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there anything else we should be looking out for?
Well, don't forget about the roof, the windows,
Yeah.
the chimney, and the driveway. Those are all big-ticket items that you don't want to have to replace right after you move in. That's a good point. And what about the well and septic system, if the house has those?
Ah, yes. If the house has well, you want to know the water quality and the flow rate. And if it has a septic system, you want to know the age and condition of that too.
Okay, so basically we need to be checking everything.
As much as you can, yeah.
This is a lot to keep in mind.
I know, it's a lot. But trust me, it's better to know what you're getting into before you sign on the dotted line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So any final words of wisdom for our listeners who might be facing this very real decision of whether or not to skip the home inspection?
Well, like I said before, knowledge is power. Do your research, ask questions, and if possible, bring along someone with construction experience to give you a second opinion. A fresh pair of eyes can really help.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say we've done all our homework, we walked through the house, we've made our checklist of potential red flags.
Right.
What then? How do we decide if those red flags are deal breakers or not?
Well, that's where it gets tricky, because there's no easy answer. It really depends on your individual circumstances, your budget, your risk tolerance, and how badly you want the house.
Right. So some problems might be easy fixes,
Exactly.
while others could require a major renovation,
Yeah.
and that could be a big expense.
Right.
So it's all about weighing the risks and the reward
Exactly.
and making an informed decision.
Right.
Okay, so let's say we find a potential red flag, like maybe the roof needs replacing sooner than later, or we spot some suspicious cracks in the basement. How do we weigh that against other factors, like the location or that charming fireplace we fell in love with?
Well, that's a tough one. You have to ask yourself how much you're willing to compromise. Are you willing to sacrifice a perfect roof for a great location? Or are you willing to take on a fixer-upper if it means getting your dream house?
Those are some tough questions.
They are, but they're important questions to ask yourself before you make a decision. So true. So I guess the bottom line is there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to deciding whether or not to skip the home inspection.
Right. It's all about doing your due diligence,
Right.
weighing the risks and rewards,
Right.
and making an informed decision that's right for you.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. And remember, folks, knowledge is power. When it comes to buying a home, the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to make a smart decision.
Absolutely.
All right, that's it for today's deep dive. We hope you found it helpful. And as always, happy house hunting.
Happy house hunting.
Brought to you by Montague, Charlottetown Realty.